Welcome to Homefront Sit Rep. I hope you're in for a great show today because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find Homefront Sit Rep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcast. You can also check out Homefront Sit Rep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting. Welcome, everybody, to a Sunday edition of Homefront Sit Rep. Hopefully, everybody is doing wonderful. Miss Candice, how are you doing today?
I am, well, besides tired, exhausted, no sleep for the past 48 hours, and really, really hot. I am doing amazing. I'm standing down here at Shepherdsville City Park at the Traveling Vietnam Memorial Wall.
And the Cost of Freedom Tribute.
And yes, and the Cost of Freedom Tribute. And it is one of the most beautiful, humbling, fantastic displays for our fallen soldiers. And as I'm walking over here, I ran over here to get a better background.
Definitely.
I'm seeing all the things that are being left in front of the wall for loved ones, and it's been an experience for sure.
Yeah, I was out there earlier. Well, I've been out there every day except for yesterday, and I was out there earlier today. And even with the rain that came through earlier, it definitely didn't deter people from coming and seeing the wall.
No, I have the most gorgeous picture of so many people lined in front of the wall, all standing out here with their umbrellas, and it was amazing to watch them still rolling in.
Yeah. What's up, Mr. Adam Bird? How are you, sir? That's my brother, Mr. Adam Bird from Heroes Media Group, which Homefront Sit Rep is a proud member of Heroes Media Group. You can check them out on Facebook or their website. Adam Bird is amazing. So welcome, Adam. So we also got Mr. Sam Dees. We're going to bring Sam Dees up to the stage because he came down from Florence, Kentucky area, up northern Kentucky, and came down to see the wall today. So let's bring Sam Dees up on the stage. Hold on, Sam. Let me fix the... There we go. I got you now. We're going to put you up in there, Sam.
Yeah, put me up on the big screen there. Huh?
Definitely. So we invited you to come down from northern Kentucky because, of course, anytime I get to see you is a good time because I've known you forever. And so we invited you to come down to the wall to check out the wall because, for one, you were there on, with the Cost of Freedom Tribute, with everything that went on in Iraq and Afghanistan. And you lost some friends there.
1 second, because two very, very special people just came in. We're live on Homefront Sit Rep. We got Stephen Brown
and Miss Courtney. How are you guys?
Camp Brown Bear and Active Heroes. So
turn your phone sideways, Candice.
Beautiful human beings right here. So, real quick, while I have you. Yes. What do you guys think about this?
It's amazing. Overwhelming. Getting ready to go look at the names of a whole bunch of my friends that are on the post 9/11 Memorial Park. And, I stopped counting at 30, so see how many more there are.
Yeah, it's definitely a very humbling experience.
I was just going to say, this is one of the most amazing things that Shepherdsville's seen in my lifetime, and I couldn't be more proud of the city hosting this, what you guys have done. It's special, and I'll remember it for the rest of my life.
That's for sure.
And Courtney's been a huge part of organizing this too. And
Yes, she
unfortunately,
does.
Mr. Stephen Brown here. Wait, I might have got this wrong.
What?
You were a Navy SEAL.
Correct.
And Miss Courtney was in the Navy as well. So I can't give them their snacks because they're not Marines.
Oh, darn.
Thanks, you guys. I'm going to let you guys go enjoy it.
Thank you.
See y'all. Davis.
Bye. So Sam, you were there earlier today. You came down from Northern Kentucky with Mr. Mark, and so tell everybody how you felt when you showed up today.
Man, that's the tribute, something I've never seen before. I didn't even know it existed until you put it out there. I had seen the wall, the traveling wall, many times. I don't know anybody that, passed away during Vietnam. I know my grandfather does. And I have friends that were in Vietnam that have friends on the wall. But to show up down there today and see, the 9/11 tribute to the planes, the towers, Pennsylvania, the Pentagon, and, outside of the guys I served with, two of the guys that were killed in the towers, I served with their sons. One of their sons actually was one of my Marines. And, anytime that I can snap a photo of his dad's name, I send it to him just to let him know that there are more things out there other than what's in the New York area, that honors his dad.
Yeah.
And then, the 27 guys that I served with between throughout my career, but, 25 guys that I served with 05, 06 that were killed in 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines in Iraq. So in Fallujah and Ramadi areas. And then there's two other guys. One was killed in Fallujah area. His unit replaced my unit. And then I was on recruiting duty with him. And then there was another guy I served with at VMNT 204, the Tilt Rotor Training Squadron for the Ospreys. He went down the road to an active unit and deployed, and ended up being killed during combat operations as well. So those 27 guys, seeing their names, and it's very touching. It's very moving. And because of some of the organizations I've been part of, I've had the pleasure and the honor to meeting, I can't tell you, hundreds of Gold Star families, and a lot of them I've become really close with. I've become really good friends with. One of the guys that I served with, that his name's on the wall. I know his dad very well, and we talk on a regular basis. And I was able to, take a picture of his son's name and send it to him and let him know what was going down in Shepherdsville, along with another 20, 30 Gold Star families. I had no idea that this even existed.
What was his name, Sam?
Taylor Przinski.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's important that we say their names. I know another name you were looking for earlier was Matthew D. Rowland.
Yeah, Matt Rowland. I met his dad. His dad's a retired colonel, and I met him through a friend of mine. And I was down there trying to go through the names, and it's hard unless you have them written down to remember all of them, right?
Yeah, I wanted to let you know Willis had mentioned that to me, and I came over here and found his name.
I appreciate it.
I had to thank him for his service, and a very, very kind veteran that was in Iraq and Afghanistan was walking around with roses, and he asked if he could please give me one for the person that I was looking at. So there was a pink rose laid for Matthew.
No, thank you. I'll pass that on to the family. I know they're greatly appreciative of it, and they had no idea about it either. And but yeah, all the families that I sent the photo of their loved one's name to today, it was just very moving for all of them. And where is it? Where's it going to next? How can I see this? How can we get it in our area? I mean, because they're all over. It's Texas, it's Virginia, it's Ohio, here in Kentucky even. But yeah, they're moved that their loved ones' names are out there, and people are speaking their name and not letting them, their name die.
Yeah, definitely. They can always reach out to ABTT and get the wall in their community, their town, and they just have to ask for the
going on too, can't you?
Do what?
I think you can follow where they're going on there too, right?
Yeah, you can go to they got a schedule. It shows you where they're going. They have three big walls, and they have some smaller walls as well. But you have to request the Cost of Freedom tribute because it don't go all over the place. So you definitely have to ask for that as well, which I'm glad we did here in Shepherdsville, because there's a lot of names on that wall. You said it. We served with a bunch of these guys.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anybody that I lost during Vietnam. My uncle served during Vietnam, and they came home from there. But they lost some friends over there. And then, we got some people on that wall that we served with 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines,
Right.
and 1st Battalion, 8th Marines for me that paid the ultimate sacrifice. And to see that, because I don't, like you said, I don't know if there's any other memorial out there that's kind of like that. It's just for, that generation for Iraq and Afghanistan. And I think there's other communities that are slowly doing memorials for those wars. It was a very humbling experience. And, I've been out there every day except for yesterday. And yesterday I had to take a mental health break and stay home with the wife and kids and take care of stuff around the house too. And it just it gets to you because it's a very humbling experience.
Yeah, I know of a couple others that are out there. I think 2 other ones are traveling, and then 2 others are permanent that I know of.
Yeah.
There's one in Marseille, Illinois, that the Motorcycle Riders of Illinois put together. They raised all the funds for it, and it has all the names of everybody that was killed, Iraq, Afghanistan. Even I think it's anywhere in the Middle East, actually, is that one. And then there's another one. It's a wall-esque type memorial. It's got different panels, and it's got a gold star for every service member that was killed in Iraq or Afghanistan. And then there's one right up by Flight 93 in Pennsylvania, about a mile down the street from the entrance, maybe not even that far. There's another one that's going to be Iraq and Afghanistan, and they have a field, and they have a small, I want to say it's like a 4-inch by 6-inch flag, but they have one flag for every service member that was killed during Iraq or Afghanistan.
Wow.
And then there's one other one that I know of that's a traveling one, and it's in the shape of an American flag, but it's made out of dog tags. And every dog tag has a service member's name. I think it's their date of death and their branch of service on the dog tag, and it's made up to look like a flag, and it's on a trailer and it travels. And I've only seen it once.
Oh,
wow. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty moving. I mean, all of them. Each one's special in its own right. And to see the names of, especially the guys that I served with, to be able to know that their memories are still alive and people are learning their stories. And that's all we can ask is, their names be spoken.
Oh, yeah.
And, my brain's not the way it used to be. So I have to actually pull up names and read it because I can't remember them all right off the top of my head. So, Mark came down with me today, and I had him take a picture of the guys that I served with that I have written on my phone so I could find them all on the wall and not forget any of them.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing, with being in the military, having a TBI like you do. And I talked to some of the Vietnam vets that came up, and I was like, is there somebody you're looking for in particular? And they're like, I can't remember their names. They said, I know they're on the wall, but I can't remember their names. And that happens quite a bit, when you're in the military and you have a TBI, and you forget a lot of things, especially from that era. And it's crazy. And I'll tell you a story, Sam. I don't know if I told you while you were there. You might have already been gone, but there was this a Lincoln that pulled up in the parking lot. And he pulled up and he just sat there and waited for about 5-10 minutes. He was looking at the wall. Then he backed up and moved to a different parking spot. And then he sat there. So me being curious, I drove over there to see what was going on. The guy's a Vietnam vet. He's been to the wall for the past 3 days, but he's never got out of his car. And I said, sir, do you need a ride over there? And he looked at me. He said, that's a long walk. And at first I was like, it's not that far. I can give you a ride. And then I really got it. I was like, wait a minute. That is a really long walk. And I said, sir, you're not alone. I said, we're here for you. But he started tearing up, and he's rolling up his window. He said, I'll be back. So, he's he's still hurting. You could see it after this many years later. he's still hurting from.
Yeah, but you got to remember that generation got treated like trash when they came home, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was the media's fault, whether it was celebrities' fault, or whoever's, they got treated like trash. And it's because of that generation, the follow-on generations didn't get treated like that. Yeah. They got the welcome home that they deserved. You know, right? It wasn't ticker tape parade like it was, you know, during World War I, World War II, but they were welcome homes.
Yeah.
You know, and anytime that I come across a vet, I mean, you saw it today, you know, that young Marine sergeant, right? Being a Vietnam guy, you know, and it's more than, you know, thank you for your service. You know, that's kind of, you can tell them someone's being generous or, you know, genuine, but, you know, the sacrifice that they all made, right? Some of them were drafted. They didn't have the choice. Some of them, you know, enlisted voluntarily, but, you know, the service and sacrifice that these men and women made going to Vietnam, dealing what they dealt with, and then coming home and have to deal with it from their own countrymen. It's ridiculous. So I make sure I tell all of them, welcome home. Because it's very well deserved, and they need to be welcomed home.
It's been amazing. You see, like, we've had the speakers that have been here that are Vietnam veterans. We had Sergeant Major yesterday. We have, he's adorable, and I love this man already, and his name is Fritz, and he's a Vietnam veteran, and he rides around on his scooter, and he's been here every single day, and it's emotional for him. He's happy, and he's having fun, and then he makes sure he visits his brothers. But and we're lucky enough that both of those people that I mentioned are actually going to be scheduled for the podcast coming up, and we get to hear that story, because those are stories you don't get to hear very often with the Vietnam vets, and we're losing them, and hear some of them. And some of them they can't talk about, and that's okay, but some of them will, and it's just some of the most humbling things, and where they're able to come and honor their brothers. And then others we've had, and they say, I don't want to go to the wall. I want to be here. I want to be in its presence, but I can't go. And one had mentioned that they didn't want to see a name that they didn't know was on the wall.
Yeah.
And that was, but like Sergeant Major was talking about, he came home and his biggest thing was, they spit in my face.
Yeah.
They literally spit in his face, calling him a baby killer. And people that he loved had nothing to do with him when he came home. And the society had changed. They had no idea what they were coming back to. And he said, it was probably 90% of the people that he served with in his unit, within 6 months, they already signed back and went.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be here. They didn't want to be home because it was so bad that they'd rather go into combat and take a risk of losing their life, everything. And
I talked to one Vietnam vet that was on the golf cart. I drove him up, and as we were talking, he said, "Man," he said, "What?" Because I welcomed him home, because that's one thing I do with Vietnam vets. Every time I see one, I welcome them home. He goes, "Thank you." He said, "You know what happened when I got home?" He said, "I got home. I was in the airport. 4 hours later, I was in handcuffs, still in uniform." And I was like, "What do you mean you were in handcuffs?" He goes, "Yeah, I got into the airport. I was waiting on my people to get to the airport, and somebody called in a bomb threat, and they said that I did it. So they put him in handcuffs." And I'm like, "You're talking about a welcome home that." Yeah, that's 4 hours after getting off the plane, waiting on his family to come from somewhere in Kentucky, a little hole in the wall Kentucky town, to the airport, and 4 hours later he's in handcuffs.
Yeah,
I'm like, bro,
resigned. Like, let me go back, because I don't want to be here.
Well, and that's one of the big reasons that the Legions and the VFWs and the AMVETs are full of Vietnam vets, because they didn't want to be out in the public. They wanted to be with people that understood them. And it's that generation, it's the career veterans that welcome them into, the service organizations that, the World War II guys did it for them. So, and so on and so forth. And, unfortunately, I was having a discussion with somebody the other day. My generation's not to the point where we want to go hang out at the VFW and the Legion yet. we still have young kids, right? We still have full-time jobs that we have to do.
Building
Yep.
families.
And and it's not like we don't want to be there. We would love to go in and interact and, see how things are run and talk to them about what their experiences were and how we can make it better for them now. But, some of us just, we got kids. My oldest just turned 18. My youngest is 13. I'm retired, but I've got a full-time seasonal job with a skydive team, right? So, and we're gone almost every weekend. And, during the week, I've got a wife and the kids and that I've got to care for and tend to. And, it's just those things. And, it's because of them that we have adapted a little bit better coming home. And, but I mean, eventually, hopefully it gets to the point where our generation starts going into the VFWs and going into the Legions and interacting and keeps those things going.
Yeah.
Is that they provide.
Yeah.
Because they do have one for you guys. And when you guys are ready, they're there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the American Legion and who else over there? I forget who all. I don't think the VFW was there, but I think the American Legion was there.
Now, the VFW riders came in yesterday. It was a giant procession, but you got Active Heroes, you got the American Legion, you got Warrior Round, some of these resources for the veterans that really do some good things for them. Well, we have wonderful people here that have been volunteering since it came in. The Scouts have been here since
Every day.
all in. They have tents back in the back of the field, and they have not left.
I saw that. Is that where they're staying? Is in the tents?
That's where they're staying. Yeah.
Oh man. But it was cool this morning too. At 10 o'clock, they're like, "Hey, can we get your attention?" And and they did the pledge, man. That was just to be able to do that, to take their time to do that. And
yeah.
Well, talk about the benches behind you.
Talking about one of those scouts made it her mission to make sure that these people and these family members and friends were able to come and just sit and do what they need to do. And they made 15 of these beautiful wood benches. And they're gorgeous. And then here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Am I in there?
Oh yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, let me put you over here on the big screen.
I can't see it.
All gave some gave all, and it's got the soldier kneeling at the cross.
And it's on every bench. And it's, we've moved them around because we had families. Of course, yesterday we had 3 different families from Bullitt County area that had lost their family member in Vietnam. And it was the most beautiful thing and to honor them and hang a wreath for their family member. Well, like I said, the Scouts. The thing that the Scouts have done is at the main entrance, they set up a tent and a table. So they stay here and they're helping everybody. And it's been the most beautiful thing when somebody comes in. They ask if they're looking for a specific name. And they have a book and they're able to lead them to that. They actually take you to the wall and show you exactly where that name is for you and help walk you through the memorial. I'm trying to look for them right now, but they're actually all scattered with people out here on the field. So I was going to go up to the tent and have them kind of say how their experience has been, but they're actually out. Each one of them is with somebody right them to the wall. And
yeah, I mean, and the Vietnam Wall, I mean, even as a whole, because all the replicas are just like the wall in DC. And, it kind of goes at the angle, right? And the panels aren't alphabetical order,
No.
and it's all sporadic. And then the panels were added later that came in and then so on and so forth. So, I mean, to have that book and have, a directory type thing to say what panel, what line, whatever, I mean, that's a huge help for anybody.
Because it's not in alphabetical order. It's in order of death.
Yeah.
Actually, these people lost their lives. And it's amazing how they have that done. And somebody told me about a website, and it was the coolest thing that I've ever found. And it was the Wall of Faces. And if you go to that and you put a name in, you can search it by county, state, name, rank, like almost every little detail, just one piece of it, and it brings it up and it has pictures of them, and it tells the story. It tells you how they passed, and then people that have like the memorial bracelets. Like I was looking at some last night, and they get on there and they say, "Hey, we want your family to know that we wear your name." And that you're always remembered. And it was just the most amazing things. Some of these scouts are talking about when somebody gives them a name, they go back and they're looking and they want to see the story.
Right.
So you have kids that are even interested in these heroes. And I think that in itself is just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But we also have Ratman, who people have always seen comment on the podcast. And of course, he brought the Pro 1 and Pro 2 veteran cars. Um, And what's
He also
amazing
built
about
that
these?
POW MIA tower too.
Yeah, he did. He built this for this event, and it's the coolest thing. And it's actually going to be in the new veteran monument here in Shepherdsville that the mayor Cubero has decided to do. But every silver part on these cars, on the outside, on the insides of the doors, back on the spoiler, it's just filled with veteran names for everywhere that he goes, and he runs into a veteran, and it's the coolest thing because it travels and people see names. And there's so many times that I've been at events with him, and somebody would go sign it, and they see a name, and they're like, oh, "That's a friend of mine. I served with him." Like there was just
Yeah.
one the other day. What? Like that? That's cool. And it's like, well, hey, guess what? They're still they're still kicking. They're still doing good, and they were just at this place and they signed the wall. But I'm gonna grab Ratman real quick. Come on. That way he can tell a little bit of his story about his cars. Talking about another beautiful human and the things that he does for the veterans and gives. And
Time to go live.
yeah, time to go live. We're live. Good friend Ratman right here.
What's up, everybody?
What's going on, Ratman?
Tell us your story about these wolves.
Well, I quit drag racing about 3 years ago, and decided to come up with an idea. I lost my dad in 08. He was in the Navy for 30 years as chief machinist on a heavy destroyer. And I thought, well, I give something back to the men and women that gave me the opportunity to do what I do and enjoy what I do. So I decided to come up with a Pro 1 Veterans car and start getting all the veterans to sign it, take their picture, get their own face. Of course, they got their own Facebook page. But Lord to behold, I didn't know it would blow up this big. So now we have a Pro 2. And we have a Pro 3 car that is in the making for my grandson.
What? This is special news right here on Homefront, so right?
It's going to be a little, I think it's a 1980 S10, little short body car. I used to race it years ago, and I sold it to my son-in-law, and he decided he didn't want it, and he was going to junk it. I said, no, I'm going to build that for my new grandson. So hopefully this time next year, you'll see this one. But it's been a ride, and this weekend it's been just totally awesome being able to meet the veterans and people that fought for this country. And I really can't explain it. It's heartwarming. That's like a veteran come up to me today. He was Marine. You brought him out here, Dave, and he gave me that little coin.
He's right there.
It's the guy on the screen with me.
Oh,
Same
okay.
here.
I got my glasses on, but for
I have
you,
my phone and my screen's really
for
tiny.
you to give somebody that's not a veteran, that was an honor to me, sir.
He's talked about it since you left.
A great honor. And that's something I don't never forget. That's twice. Well, it's twice that's happened to me. The last one that somebody gave me, it's on my dash. I think it was stuck to my dash in the Pro 1. But I've had a ball, and it's just totally awesome, to just be able to give something back to somebody, put a smile on their face, and sometimes they'll open up to you, sometimes they won't. But it's better than drag racing, let's put it that way.
I don't know about that, but it's greatly appreciated everything you do for us vets. I mean, to want to recognize all of us, on your cars that you take around showing everywhere, even though you're not dragging anymore, you're taking them to the shows and everybody's seeing it, right? And every name has a story. So it's greatly appreciated, especially in an honor for me to sign your car. I greatly appreciate you taking the time today and then talking about, your story and how you got started and what you're doing now. So, right, man, I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you guys. You just don't know how much, man. I mean, like I said, if it wasn't, my buddies told me that I had a crazy idea, it'd never go nowhere. And now most of them don't have nothing to do with me. They got nice cars, but it's like I get more attention and they don't want no part of it. And I'm like, well, that's your loss, not mine. But I'm
Yeah.
going to keep when I do. If I can get one of you guys to smile and put a smile on your face, that made my day. That's what it's all
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, man.
And if I
So
can
so
help
what do you
any program, that's what I'm all about.
so when you get these veterans to sign your car, like you had that Vietnam vet, a couple of Vietnam vets from this event here come up and sign your car. You take a picture of it and you post it on the Facebook page for the Pro 1, Pro 2. Um, tell me what that does for you, because you don't charge anybody to come up and sign your cars. You do it for free. You do it out of the kindness of your heart. Tell me why you do it that way.
Well, the way I do it that way, Dave, is I've told you before. I don't expect no glory. Yeah, I get it. But it makes me feel good to be able to do something for the people that's done their job for this country that don't get what they deserve.
Yeah.
And this is my way of trying to give something back to show my respect. I've had family members. I do have a few family members that's on this wall. I just never said nothing. I walked out here the other night by myself after everybody went to bed and walked around with my little flashlight and to myself.
Yeah, and then he told us about it. Like,
but what? I don't know exactly how to explain it, but if you need a shirt off my back, I'd give it to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you made a comment that stuck with me. You said your receipt is the smile on your face.
Yeah.
That's your receipt.
Yeah.
And that means that you're doing what you're doing because you care. Not because you want to get famous, not because you want $1 million, but you're doing it because you care. And that's going to stick with me in my brain.
Well, that's just like I went to the honor flight at Mike Lanning's and took the car. And all your judges, I entered the car to be judged. I didn't have the Pro 2. I just had the Pro 1. And all your judges were veterans. And they come up to me. They've all signed the car. I think there was like 10 or 15 of them. And he goes up to me. I guess he was the leader. I don't remember his name. He goes, we can't judge your car. I said, huh? He said, we can't judge your car because we're veterans and we signed your car and you had the Pro 1. I said, I'm not worried about no trophy. I said, I've already got 15. And he backed up and he looked at me and said, what do you mean? I said, I got each and every one of you all to sign that car and got to thank you for your service. I said, that's my trophy. And he didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
humble man.
I love what you're doing, Rap Man. I'll support you any way I can. You sir are an amazing human, and I want you to stay that way, my friend.
Oh, I'll always be that way. I've always said, there needs to be some more people out here can do the same thing. I'm not after no glory. My glory is just putting a smile on somebody's face. That's like this girl right here. If she's down and out every day, they come up, give you a hug, give you a kiss or something, tell you I love you. And it puts a smile on your face. That's all that matters.
That's right.
Right, man's a good man.
If we can prevent anybody from doing something crazy or killing themselves. That's what it's all about, brother.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
You guys deserve more respect than what you got.
Yes, sir.
Ratman.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Ratman.
Right. I'm gonna go back to doing what I do best.
All right, buddy.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you too, buddy.
Sorry,
Mr. Durbin, I want to say welcome, Mr. Durbin.
Look, I think he's down here, actually sitting in a hotel because he put in for work to come down and volunteer. So, me being me and not sleeping, totally comatose earlier, and so I was unresponsive to this man, and I apologize for that, David. But came down from actually. Wait, where are you in Indy now? You're not in Fishers anymore. He went farther north, but came all the way down to come help.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was supposed to meet up with him, but I had to leave, unfortunately, because my dog was not feeling well, and so I had to get home. And no.
But so, like I said, touring around while we're here, I have two other gentlemen here that have, out of the kindness of their heart, done so many things.
First. Y'all lead the way.
Oh no, wait, one's a Marine. I gotta go get the snacks. So,
but yeah, we got Craig Murphy on here as well. Just want to say welcome, Mr. Craig Murphy.
So we have Michael, who is from Kentucky Wheels, and also a crown eater. And then we have Robert, who is Army, but he is from U.S. Military Vets Motorcycle Club. Now, these men, I can't get the screen here. Come together, spoon.
Turn the portrait, and you'll be, or landscape,
turn your phone
fine.
sideways.
Hey, look at that.
Better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Use the crayons.
What?
You're the ones that need the crayons.
So these men have been out here every day this week, helping selflessly. Michael has been running around ragged, doing any and everything that he is commanded to do. And then Robert over here actually saw our post about needing help with food donations and came up to me one night and was like, what can I do? And actually came out with an event grill and smoker and has been cooking meals for the past 2 days for our volunteers here. But from both of you, can you explain to us what this has meant to you? And you said Marines, go first.
It's an experience that's out of this world. And of course, I have a uncle that fought in Vietnam. He was supposed to be here. He had 2 strokes. He felt ill, so he couldn't make it, which it's kind of heart-wrenching for him not to see this right here in his hometown. And it's just an honor to see these vets. I met a guy this morning. He is a character. He served 3 terms over there. He has 3 Purple Hearts.
You're talking about
Bob was his name. And this man, he said, I'm not shedding a tear. He said, I've shed all the tears I can share. And he said, I was a platoon sergeant. I had 35 men. When I went in, I come out with 13. And I'm the last one alive, period. And that right there, it hits you. And then you see guys bringing 5, 6, 7 years old to learn. Our schools don't teach this anymore, and it's a shame. But it's just an honor. It's just an honor to be asked to come and represent, escort, and then you just kind of fall into a volunteer role, and you go with it.
You can't leave, can you?
No.
It's like we were here all night long last night, and all 3 of us were.
We looked up last night, and we had 2 volunteers, and we're like, we can't leave 2 people here. This man said, if you need me, I'm going to be asleep. If y'all need rest, of course, a Marine ain't ever going to give his post up if he don't have to.
Right.
But go ahead.
Go ahead, Bob.
So, for me, the walk here was significant to me because My grandfather was a Vietnam vet with 1st Cavalry Division. So that was already an honor. And then I had a brother that I lost in July of last year. He was also, he's a Purple Heart recipient, Vietnam vet. So originally for me, I just wanted to come pay my respects. I had been following the wall coming in. I was here for the parade.
Nice. Hold on, I'm trying to fix this. What am I doing? There we go.
Well, we got the sun in the background, so it's glaring.
Here, turn around.
Yeah, turn around.
Here, we're gonna do a little dance.
You're a bad camera person.
No, I never do this on my phone. All right.
But
sorry.
So it was, to me, it was just, I was going to show up, pay my respects, you know, and then I seen Candice's post about needing somebody to just cook some meals. What started as something simple was, you know, I was like, hey, my wife makes some killer chicken and dumplings. She said she'd cook, you know, dinner for you guys. And then Candice mentioned a grill, and I'm like, well, I got a grill. You know,
we're gonna walk over and see it here in a minute.
Just like the Army, open their mouth, insert their foot.
You know,
been here for 2 days straight now.
I'm a big believer in, you know, you go big or you go home. So I brought the whole trailer out here, and the driving force for that for me was in the military. In order for us to do our missions, we got to have somebody in the back that are driving those missions forward. So for me, in order for all the wonderful volunteers that we've had here in Shepherdsville, either escorting or guarding this magnificent wall at night, there needed to be people willing to sacrifice Saturday and a Sunday to cook a couple meals. So to me, I got to step out of a leader role from when I was in the military and back up somebody else's mission. And to me, that was the honor that I got from that is just phenomenal. And I met amazing people, and I volunteered. I've talked to Candice and several other of the ones that helped host this event, and put myself out there to just keep going.
And a little secret, we might have a little equine connection because Mr.'s wife has offered some services.
Nice. Well, thank you guys. I met you guys, you know, from here, just from day one. Marine, me and him, you know, we were like peas and carrots again, just because we're brothers that way. But you guys are amazing. Thank you for what you spent your time volunteering for this great event. You guys have a servant's heart. You always have had servant's heart. That's why you joined the military. So thank you again. And you guys are amazing. Stay dry out there, because I think some more rain's coming through tonight. So stay dry out there.
What's going to happen?
If it ain't raining, we ain't training.
Simple.
Oh, look. All soaking wet earlier. Willis was going around in a pink poncho. It was adorable.
Hey.
You got photos?
Nobody took photos.
There's
Come
photos.
on.
There's photos, Sam. I'll send them to you.
All right.
It wasn't really pink, though.
Hold on.
All the volunteers that have been here that have military connections, we all have a battle that we're fighting within ourselves.
Absolutely.
That only another veteran that walked that walk and can talk that talk understands.
Yeah.
And for me, and for some of the other veteran volunteers that I talk to, even though we're not brothers blood, he's in a different club than I am.
Yeah, we got 2 different motorcycle groups, clubs and groups right here that are working
hand
together.
in hand, and he's still a brother to me in arms.
Absolutely.
And we were combined on the same mission to host this and get this moving forward, and it was a healing method. To me, it brought me closer to brothers that I didn't know. So it was also a healing mechanism for people like myself and other veterans.
Amen.
That are still.
I don't know what it does. It lets people talk.
Yeah.
It lets them voice of what's built up for them, which there's organizations out there that do that every day. But, you know, like I said a while ago, I have got an uncle, and not one time has he ever talked about Vietnam. His son served. His son has never talked. He's never told his son about Vietnam. I don't know how you could get to the man. It had maybe somebody else, but just won't talk.
Take him fishing.
Taking fishing. So Craig Murphy is out of Washington State, and he's part of a fishing organization up there. He says because we can share things we don't share with others. So yeah, you definitely taking fishing. He'll talk. Get him out there on the boat.
I had a Vietnam veteran on a boat with me up on Lake Erie, and he's like, and we had a TV crew. We had a local TV crew out of Cleveland, and this guy's like, his name's Bob. He's like, I ain't said nothing in 50 years. I'm not saying nothing now. About an hour and a half into the fishing trip, I couldn't get Bob to shut his mouth, but it was just, he was a Marine. I'm a Marine, and just having that common bond and talking about what Lejeune looked like back, in the 60s and 70s compared to what it looked like when I was there. And then he came back to another event in the spring. And the first thing he said to me, he says, I want to thank you for opening me up. I was like, I didn't do nothing. I sat there and talked and we fished. I said, you decided to talk on your own. And he decided to go see a therapist. He talked to his wife about it, talks to anybody that will listen now about his experiences during Vietnam, all because we were fishing. And it's more than the fishing, right? I mean, it's that connection, it's that camaraderie, but getting in that small space and, opening up, I opened up about things that I experienced, and he finally just couldn't take it. And I guess me talking anymore, and he wanted to get some words in too. So, but yeah, I mean, that's what it is, man. It's just, I used to call it being on the healing waters of Lake Erie, because no matter who I'm out there with, you get that bond. So, and then, you stay friends and stay in contact, throughout the rest of your life. So, and I still talk to Bob, but yeah, that's what it is. Take him fishing. Your mind stops thinking about, what you have going on deep inside with your demons or your sharks or however you want to word it. And, you start focusing on catching that fish, right? So I catch a fish, and then Willis catches a bigger fish, and the trash talk starts, right? And then people start opening up, and then I catch a bigger fish, and then he catches a dink, and and then it's really on, right? So, I mean, it's what it's all about is, yeah, you're out there fishing, but at the end of the day, it's more than fishing.
Right.
One team, one fight.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it hits me with these volunteers is the selflessness, the literal give your shirt off your back. I needed a shirt today. Thank you, Michael. I needed some sleep today. Somebody offered us camper. I got a little nap, but you look at just, they're always serving. You guys are always serving. And I don't know if you guys realize like what that means to the community. And especially you look at these bike groups and things, and sometimes they get this stigma and they have a stereotype, but people don't realize the charity that they're involved in and how much they do for the veterans and how much they do for the children. And it's some of the most beautiful things that you see when they come together and they're able to raise funds or toys and all the things that they do for the communities. And I think sometimes they need a little more recognition for that, especially when you got
and that's why they do it. They don't want the recognition. They do it out of the kindness of their hearts. They do it because, especially the veteran motorcycle groups, right? Because they're used to giving, they're used to being selfless. We do work with a veteran motorcycle group up here in Ohio, and let me tell you, I could call Elmo right now and he would do whatever I asked him to do. Yep. Same thing with Joker. I could call him and say, dude, I need this, and he would get on his bike and ride down to my house and if I needed him. So it's it's nice when they get it. It puts them in a good light. But they don't do it for that. They don't do it for the glitz, the glam, and all that.
Sam, it's more changing the stereotype.
No, absolutely. I see what you're saying. But yeah, I mean, that's not why they do it. I mean, and it would be nice for TV crews to come out and cover a club and show the positive light, and not what you're hearing about some of these other, clubs, the 1%ers, if you will. But, they're the ones that are putting the bad light on everybody. I mean, even the Hells Angels, right? They get a bad rep. But when I was younger, we worked a motorcycle rally. And if my female cousin, had to go to the bathroom, I called the security, and she had 2 Hells Angels walk her to the bathroom and walk her back. But that's not the side that everybody sees. that's, and you look at the veteran community, not everybody sees the good. All you see is Marine did this, soldier did this. They want to put that stigma on everybody, and it's up to all of us, not just the clubs, but it's up to all of us to put us all in a positive light.
And I wanted to go with a story there. I heard a story here a while back. This lady lost her kid. It's telling about a kid,
Can you hear him okay?
Yeah.
He said, if you get lost, go find the biggest, ugliest biker you can find. She goes, why? Because he's going to get you back. I mean, the bikers take a bad rep, but we're not. And people needs to hear that from different people. And that's one of the reasons why I've joined the club that I've joined. We're all big family. We're not the 1%ers. We're a group. We raise money for Sunrise Children's Home. We give back to kids. We donate to people in need, and it's a great thing to serve military, a great thing to serve our nation just by giving back to people in need.
You guys also escort over 58,000 fallen soldiers in the time of need.
Yeah. And it go back to that story. We was all going to Bullitt County Tots, and Mr. Thornton, the one that was over this wall, pulled out on Preston, turns to go up towards Hillview, and he looks in his mirror and he said, there's 20 bikes behind me. He said, where in the heck did they come from? Well, we get there. Of course, we pull right up behind his trailer. I get out because I knew who he was. I went to school with Mr. Thornton. And he said, just the people I need to talk to. He said, I need help. I need escorts. And I said, I'm going to tell you, I would say yes, but I got to go through the proper channels, which I knew the answer. But you got to go through the proper channels. But it's just a great thing to just serve, period.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And I know, like for me, when I was giving food and when I was cooking, I was wearing my colors. I know I've seen you walking around in your colors today and yesterday, paying your respects and everything. And that, that just drive home, prove the image of bikers and veterans to the general public.
Right.
So, it's still, there's always ways that we're working and we're doing things.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Definitely. Well, thank you guys very much for everything that y'all have done.
I said, I'm going to go show you this grill. And he said, I broke most of it down.
Oh, he broke most of it down. That's crazy. So Craig Murphy says that demons can't swim. So when what he means by that is if you go out on a fishing boat, demons can't get to you, especially if you're with other veterans.
Yeah.
So,
well, and the backside of that too is you got to be willing, to open up. You have to be willing to, so you're going to get emotional. It's going to happen. Whether it's the sadness, whether it's the fear again, whether it's anger, emotions are going to come up, and you got to be open to becoming vulnerable to that, right? And understanding that no one's going to make fun of you about it. They're going to be with you and support you when you're walking through your journey of growth. And that's the biggest thing is, be willing to be open, be willing to be honest, and, be open for people just to sit there and not say anything because they don't know what to say.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it doesn't matter, even if they served. I got a buddy of mine that we made a pact to go to every NASCAR race. And finally I opened up to him like, Josh, listen, I got to get this out. And he just looked at me, and he'd been in a year less than me. And he's like, dude, I don't know what to say. I'm like, I don't need you to say anything. I just need to get it out. And that's why I said the angry sharks, because he'd look at me and be like, dude, sharks are swimming, aren't they? I'm like, yeah, And he's like, all right, he'd remove me from wherever that situation was, or it'd feed me a beer, whatever. But it took my mind off of what I was thinking about, what triggered me, to give that response that I was having.
Right.
You know, as long as you're truthful with yourself, and you don't have to know what all your triggers are, but you need to know that you need to remove yourself if you are getting, amped up a little bit.
Look, you guys see this thing?
Yeah, I saw it. So you got the big smoker on the back, and then he did have a griddle. Is the griddle still there? It's in the back side behind the table.
Oh, he's got like a black stone over there.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, Willis, because I can't see the comments on my phone. I went, but it takes me out of the stream. Can you ask Pumpkin if he's ready to come on and talk about this?
James, are you still there? Or are you ready to come on? I know I keep seeing a thumbs up, but I don't know if that's from James or not. I keep on getting some weird thumbs up.
There's like a weird bubbly thumbs up that comes across the big photo, the big screen that's on there.
Yeah, I don't know where it's coming from.
Maybe it's Candice is just
I don't know.
Fat fingering something over there when she's trying to move her screen around.
Maybe.
It's been rough.
Yeah,
I am glad to see the sun came out down there a little bit and you got to dry off. I mean, it was coming down when I left.
But that's why I have different clothes on. But here's his Warrior Rounds trailer. I'm going to introduce you guys to James Thornton. You guys have seen him on Homefront Sit Rep many, many, many times. But we're going to talk to him about what this means to him and how it's turned out.
Up till about.
He's cranky, so I'm going to see if he'll get on here.
He is cranky. He's always cranky.
Yeah.
What's up, Pumpkin? Not much. How about you? Another day in Disneyland. Come on over and see.
Darling, you want to talk about this?
Who?
You.
To who?
To Homefront Sit Rep.
What's up, Homefront Sit Rep?
No, that's not right. Yeah, turn it. Talk about what this
What's up, James?
This man spent 10 months selflessly planning this. And it's been amazing.
So tell us how it's been, James.
I'll just come back to you in a little bit.
Thank you. I'm ready for about 4 months of sleep.
Yeah, I bet. So what was your driving force to doing this, James?
Honor. Absolutely honor. I get so much out of this. Just meeting people, hearing stories, seeing people's faces. Having the kids work out here, learning stuff and hearing stuff constantly. It's eye-opening.
Definitely.
That's the way to put it. It's just eye-opening.
How much impact have some of the veterans that you've met out here, James?
A lot. Actually, we've had, I don't know, I'd say at least half a dozen say that they've never seen the war before.
Vietnam veterans?
So it's just straight honor. There's just no other way to put it. I would do it every day.
Yeah, for sure. I've been out there every day except for yesterday, and I said I had to take a mental health break yesterday just because it's a very humbling experience, but it also drains you too. And I can see where you're saying you're ready for a pretty decent long break, but just hearing the stories from the Vietnam vets or the family members of vets that are on that wall, just hearing their stories, it makes what we do worth it. They're thanking us because we brought the wall to Shepherdsville for them to come out and visit their loved ones that's on the walls. I met a lady earlier today that her son's on one of the Cost of Freedom tribute walls, and she's like, "Thank you guys for doing this because I haven't been anywhere to see where my son's name's been spoken." And Sam made that point earlier. As long as we keep speaking their names, their memories never forgotten.
Absolutely. You guys have heard me tell the story when I was in Rushville. I think it's Rushville. Anyway.
Yeah, it was Rushville.
Older couple come out there and it was like 43 degrees and they sat there till 3:30 in the morning. That was their son on the wall. They've never seen it. So think about the age of a Vietnam veteran today, even at the tail end of the war. And then think about the age of his parents. And this was just like, so I'd do it every day if I could.
There'd be a lot of people don't want to hang around me much, but I would do it every day if I could.
Well, James, from me and the team here at Homefront Sit Rep, thank you for everything that you are doing for veterans in our community. I know me and you, we hit it off when we first met.
Don't
And
tell me that. I got an image to protect, man.
but thank you for everything that you're doing and staying humble and keeping your feet on the ground. You know, you've always said that you want to make sure you don't get too big for your britches.
Yeah.
So you have to stay humble doing this line of work, because if it comes about you, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Absolutely.
So you have to keep doing it for the veterans that you want to help take care of.
You know, everybody keeps saying I'm so emotional. I've been an emotional wreck for, 3-4 days now. It was leading up 2 months trying to get this thing lined up and just make it the best that I possibly can. You get the bumps and bruises and you say, man, I could have done this different, or I should have done that. Maybe we shouldn't have done this. But, as a whole, I would say 90% good, 10% bad.
Yeah.
So,
10% learn.
10% learning. In an election, that means I just won. So I'll take it.
I'll tell you, I've seen the traveling wall, but the cost of freedom that covers, it talks about World War I, it talks about World War II, it talks about Korea, but then going into Beirut and the USS Cole, and, we had the discussion earlier today about Mogadishu, and having that there, because there's not a whole lot out there for, you guys that served in Somalia, and then of course, having all the flights and the towers and, the guys that I served with, Iraq, Afghanistan, my generation. That whole thing is completely moving. And, I can't thank you enough as a veteran to another veteran for everything you guys did.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And to me, there's no better way to honor literally over 72,000 people that we have their names out there, and hundreds, thousands of men and women that are represented out there on that field. So it's a humbling experience, but it's something that I would do every day if I could.
Definitely. All right, well, get back taking care of people there, and we'll holler at you after a while, Pumpkin.
All right. Y'all be good.
Bye, Pumpkin. So Candice, let's see if you can find some of the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts up there. I think they might be. I know. Huh?
They're scouts. Just call them scouts.
Scouts of America. Let's just put it that way. I know. That one lady. She is.
See a couple at the tent. Oh, and another one's walking towards it. Hey, you want to go on our podcast right now? Just talk about your experience.
I don't know.
We're on Homefront Sit Rep as a veteran.
Hey, doesn't look like a scout to me.
Yeah, turn away from the sun, Candice.
Okay. Gotta turn.
Especially with that shirt on.
He said we do. All right. Can you tell us about who you are? Tell us your name and a little bit of your military background.
Well, I'm John Harrison, and I served in the Army from 1968 to 1971. Went to Vietnam in January of 1969. Came back January of 1970. Thank God. I made home physically in one piece. Lost several friends over there. They're on the wall. And that pretty much sums it up.
How's this experience been for you?
It helps. It does. Just to come and when there's not a lot of people around, I know where their names are, and I can go talk to them.
It's beautiful.
So what made you want to volunteer?
I was, I'm from Valley Station, so that pretty much tells you I thought of myself as a punk, and so if I hadn't joined the Army, I'm not too sure where I'd be today, but I decided to change, get away from what I was doing and go in the Army, and that helped me get away from the problem, I guess you call it.
Well, when I mean volunteer, you're volunteering, helping with this event. What made you want to do that?
Just to help out, just do what I could. I've been to this traveling wall a couple of times. Once back, the first time was back in '89, I guess, and that had an effect on me. And then I've been once or twice with my nephews. They wanted me to come with them in different places. And then I found out that it was coming back here and that James needed some volunteers to help out. So here I am. I'm retired and not doing too much of anything else. So here I am. Glad to do it.
Well, that's awesome, my friend. Thank you for that.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And welcome home.
And welcome home.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Still looking for scouts. Sorry, I had to do that.
And your OCD or ADD kicked in?
It's that shirt, man. I mean, it just drew her in. It's like, lightning bug to that blue light.
One of the veterans on here. I know we're going to on future ones.
Any of them over there?
Yeah. Can we borrow a few scouts? We are live on a podcast right now. It's our veteran podcast.
Turn away from the sun.
Yeah.
All right. I'm turning. They're this way. So if you want to come over here too, you're more than welcome. So we just want to know a little bit about what this means to you, what the experience has been like, and what made you guys want to help. Because I'll tell you something interesting about this scout group. It is scout ran. Parents are there to help chaperone and supervise, right?
Yeah.
But these scouts make the decisions.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I think that really great thing to hear because the veterans, everything they've done for us, they fought and they sacrificed their lives for us, and it's the least we can do for all these people who have their family or friends or anybody that they came here to see, and it's the least we could, like I said, least we can do to help them and find the people they're looking for. And I think it's a great thing that they asked us to be here to help.
Yeah. How has it been meeting some of these veterans and taking people to their loved ones?
Some of them, they're like, cry and all this. Some of them, they talked about this lady had this it's like what's it called, that one bracelet thing?
That's the
names.
Yeah.
Memorial bracelet.
Memorial bracelet.
And and she had it ever since she was like
12.
Yeah, 12. And
wow.
Since 70, I think it was 70, one or 71, I think. Yeah, 1971. And she had it ever since then, and she didn't know who the person was until today. We found that the person they were so
wow.
They wearing this person's name.
Yeah, they just didn't have
that
it.
long.
They've had this, and they didn't know who this about them, anything until today. They saw in the book. They were just all lit up. And they
How
were
cool
so
is that?
See that. Yeah.
How was that for you guys to see somebody get excited and
it really just really touched my heart to see how happy they were to have they didn't know anything about them until our scoutmaster looked it up, showed them everything about them and everything like that, and it just made them so happy to it really.
That's wonderful. Now, did you ladies help with making the benches?
No, but actually, I don't know if you know what NYLT is. That's National Youth Leadership Training. We just went that 2 weeks ago. And one of the staff there, actually, she was here a few days ago. She's the one who made the benches. Her name's Taylor.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the one
who
made the benches.
That was just an amazing thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You guys have been absolutely wonderful. Can I ask how old you guys are?
I'm 16.
I'm 14. 16 and 14. And this is what they're out here doing. They're serving our community. They're serving our veterans. And we thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Did you want to say anything? Okay, no, she's fine. Thank you. They're doing wonderful. And honestly, some of these veterans that are out here, and to have the youth take them to the wall and show them what the name is, you see them get excited about it, because you see quite a few elderly people come out here, and then you have a 14 or 16-year-old girl that is just gung-ho of, I want to help you with this, and then showing them a story that they may have found behind it. And Like, how cool is that? This woman has had a bracelet on her wrist of a person for 70 something years and had no idea who it was. Like, that's just
So
one.
I met her. I met that lady was when I picked her up from the car. She's like, I've had this bracelet since 1971, and she was in the military. This lady was in the military. She said, I've had this bracelet since 1971, and I don't know who they are. And I was like, holy cow.
Well, you got to figure there was no database back then, right? So this database that they have has been created by Vietnam Veterans of America who got information from the families or what they could find through, a public record or DOD record. When we were at Lejeune, right there in the mall by the arcade, they had that kiosk that you could buy a bracelet. And it just had, it had service members that were killed in the line of duty. Right. And it was just, you could have got anybody, so I understand her not knowing the person because she just may have gotten it from somebody or her parents ordered it. And that's what the name they got. I carry one in my truck of Scott Morrison that, his parents gave to me. It doesn't go on my wrist because I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. But every time I drive that truck, it's in my truck. Yeah. I have some of the rubber bracelets that they had started making here recently. I probably have 4 or 5 of them that were given to me by family members, and I've got them wrapped around my little JBL speaker that I take everywhere with me when I travel. So their loved ones are going everywhere with me, whether I'm going to Japan or down the street. That they're going with me. So, and I carry them with me every day. And obviously, the guys that I served with, I carry their memory with me. And some of the memories that their families may never hear travel with me too, because you get those one guys, they go to a frat party and they walk up to the frat boy who has his collar popped and say, bro, you look like a douche, but you don't want to tell the families that, right? But but then there's other ones, like there's a kid there, Richard James. I was a young sergeant. I think he was a private or a PFC, and we were at a range down at Fort Bragg, and they told me they told me his name. And I'm like, Rich James, bitch. Well, I didn't realize our sergeant major's name was Ricky James too. And he was standing beside me and he looked at me. Who the hell said that? And he lit me up. And I'm like, that young Marine right there, his name's Richard James. He goes, my name's Ricky James. I'm like, yeah, won't be saying that again. But and that's how I met him initially. Right. And, Gunny Ball's on there, Terry Ball, and man, you couldn't ask for a better leader. Former drill instructor, but he was a true leader and mentor. And everything that he taught me as a senior sergeant or a young staff sergeant, I'll never forget. And then Mac was a really good friend of mine. First person to congratulate me when I got promoted to staff sergeant. And then of course Brzezinski's on there. Justin Sims was recruited out of the office I worked out of here in Florence. I knew Justin. Justin was at the gym every day with me working out to get where he needed to be to go to boot camp. And then it's Christopher Warndorf on there, but he went by Taylor Warndorf. And I put him in the Marine Corps, and then I served with him in 3.8. So every guy from 3.8 that's on those panels, I knew him one way or another, whether it was a personal connection or just a drive-by, seeing the name connection. And we host an event with the skydive team, and there were, I want to say 10 or 15 of us from 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines, either guys that were, still here that are Purple Heart recipients or the Gold Star families. And there were 15 of us total. I mean, I'm not saying total, like Brzezinski family had 2, and then Sanchez's family had a couple, and so it's just I think there might have been probably around 25 or 30 total family members and guys from 3rd Battalion 8th Marines at one event in here in Ohio. So it's just it's amazing to keep their memories alive. It's amazing to make the connections with their families and maybe tell them something about their loved one that they may not have known or didn't know, because I spent more time with my guys my first year of marriage more than I did my wife. So it's that they do become family. It's not just guys that you work with on a daily basis. They truly become your brothers. And they may hate you because you're their sergeant or their staff sergeant, or, you're the heavy hand, but, at the end of the day, it's nothing but love. And I got one of my guys, wrote something. He goes, I'm here and I'm alive because of you today. I get to see my kid grow because of you. And I'm like, no, that's decisions you made. He goes, no, it's decisions you made. And when you were laying on the bed before they medevac you out, you looked at the lieutenant and said, this is what needs to happen with me. And that's where I stayed. And I'm here because of you, and things like that. And you don't think about that when you're, a platoon sergeant or the squad leader, about decisions that you make. And, there's decisions that I made that, cost me my career. There's decisions I made that cost some other Marines their career. But, I wouldn't go back and change anything, because all those events led to where I'm at today, and, being able to run my suck on your podcast. So, it's.
Yeah, it's crazy how much it goes together. As you're saying that, I'm looking around at these volunteers that most of them have been here since Wednesday when we escorted this wall in.
Yeah.
And looking at young girls that are scouts, different bike clubs, music therapy, Legion, the kind civilian volunteers, and how much these people have come together, and especially looking at the veterans that come from different walks of life, different branches, different time periods, that have now calling each other and giving each other shit and bantering back and forth each other their entire lives. Like looking at these, specifically the two guys I had on here from two different bike clubs, and they're over here hugging, they're having a good time, they're talking about things that they want to get involved with together, going with veteran things. And it's like, look at the connections. Look, you're bringing people together for something maybe they didn't even know that they needed. And I don't know if you guys can see all of the people that are attending.
Oh, there's a ton of people back there at the wall. There's some right there I can see. I think that's...
Turn your phone sideways, Candice.
Oh, wow.
My phone did something weird earlier. So there's all the way down. Yeah. They're still relevant. I think just because, but I don't know. It's a beautiful thing. If you guys have not made it out here and you are anywhere in Bullitt County or surrounding areas, Louisville, Southern Indiana, E-Town, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, Northern Kentucky.
It's a 2-hour drive from my house in Northern Kentucky down there. It's a smooth drive on a Sunday, especially right now. They're going to be there until what, Tuesday night, Willis?
Oh, hold on. That's where I'm Sam.
Ha! Stealing some thunder.
So, what I want to say, anybody in surrounding areas, because I had a guy come down here from Indianapolis tonight. Well, and then, of course, David Durbin's down here from, I think, Anderson, which is all the way up in Indiana, and just to volunteer. But if you haven't made it out here, this is on display 24 hours. You have from this very moment right now until, I believe, 9 a.m. on Tuesday when the construction starts to come down. But literally 24 hours a day. We are here throughout the entire night. Let me tell you, last night was fun and eventful and humbling when you see these older Vietnam veterans come and they sit on this bench at 2 o'clock in the morning and they sit here for 2 to 3 hours. And sometimes you just go up and you put a hand on theirs. And it's one of the most beautiful moments you'll have. And I think everybody should experience this during daylight. They should experience it after dark because it's two totally different experiences. But
I tell people the same thing about the wall in DC. When you look at it during the day, it's beautiful. The way it's set up and you walk down into the wall. But when you do that at night, it's in DC, they got the lights, like I think every other panel, every third panel, and it shines up. And if you're looking at it from where it connects and you look back towards the Washington Monument, you see the monument reflect into the wall. If you're standing on the sidewalk, you see that reflection on the wall, and Korea is the same way. The Korean Memorial in DC, you look at it at night, oh my goodness, the Pentagon Memorial at night. I'd rather go at night than during the day.
It's been an experience.
And especially there with it being low lit and they're walking with flashlights, or their lights on their phone.
There's lights. So we have lights at night. You can see it. It's still dark, but you can see clearly on the walls.
Yeah, it's very bright there at nighttime.
Have the lights up. It's just different with it being nighttime.
Yeah.
But it is just so people know. And then also, we do have golf carts running 24 hours. So if you are disabled, if you have trouble walking, if you have a walker, we come to your car. As soon as we get, we're coming to get you, and we're going to bring you up to this wall. We'll ride you all the way down the wall if we need to. That's what we're here for. That's what the volunteers are doing, to give you that opportunity that if you can't walk that, or you just can't make it all the way from the car to here, we're going to help you do that. I'm trying to think, David, what are some of the other things that we have out here? We have opportunities for you to meet with Warrior Rounds, to see Ratman with the Pro 1 and the Pro 2 car, and come and see the Scouts. We've had guest speakers every day that have been amazing human beings, but have also having bugs because my legs are getting ate
Yeah,
up.
make sure you bring bug spray. You definitely need bug spray. Now there are a couple events. There's a couple events going on tomorrow. I know that today they had the 9/11 memorial at 4. Then they had the other memorial right before that. So there you can go to All About Shepherdsville or Shepherdsville's city's page, and you can see the list of the events and ceremonies that they're going to have. So this thing's pretty well planned out with people speaking, and we did have live music on Friday and Saturday night. They were far at the far end. Music was not super loud, so you couldn't really hear it on the.
Only when they were testing the sound, I think it's the only time that I heard it, because I was stuck down here the whole time.
We had to test it to make sure it didn't go transfer onto the field. Because we didn't want it to interfere with the people that were coming to the wall.
Yeah.
But the good thing about the bands, most of the bands that were volunteered their time were veterans.
Yeah,
they're like, hey, we want to come play and respect and celebrate. There you go, Candice. They wanted to come celebrate, and what we told them to do, we wanted them to play only Vietnam era music. We didn't want them to play anything past Vietnam, and that way it was. A lot of people, like we got the celebration when we came home from overseas, Sam, right? Vietnam vets didn't get that welcome home, that celebration. So what we decided to do when we decided to do this event was have music on 2 days. Friday was, from like 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And then on Saturday, it was supposed to start at noon, and then it was going to close at 10 o'clock as well. But then we put some speakers in between and stuff like that. And we wanted to celebrate the sacrifices that these men and women made, but we also wanted to humbly honor them after 10 o'clock when we played taps.
Yeah.
Every night. And then pledge allegiance in the morning. So
there's plenty of coolers out here with free water. There was a church. What's the name of that church that was here? Grace Under Fire. The one they donated like 150 cases of water.
There was one lady walking around today. I bet she asked me about every 10 minutes if I wanted the water. I said, "Man, I got to drive all the way back to Northern Kentucky. If I drink all that water you're trying to give me, I'm gonna be stopping at every rest area between here and there."
And the volunteers have been great, and they're making sure that everybody's okay, and that's been wonderful too. Yeah. Just asking people as they're leaving, making sure that they had a good experience, and telling them that there is a plan now, because of course Matt Washington and Shepherdsville worked on this together, and the mayors, because Mayor Cabero he's amazing. He's our little Spitfire down here, our Puerto Rican Spitfire. But they have worked with a plan that this fall going to Bullitt County every 2 years. This year it's Shepherdsville, in 2 years it's going to be Mount Washington, and then it comes back to Shepherdsville 2 years after that. And they're just going to keep flipping it. And so Bullitt County is going to have this opportunity to come and honor these heroes every 2 years, and to have that cost of freedom display added in. I can't tell you how much attention that is brought in, and not the attention, just the what it's done for people that have came and didn't realize what that was.
Yeah. And then, well, and like I was saying earlier, other than probably Gary Gordon's monument in Maine, I don't know if there's one singular place that has all the names that died during the Battle of Mogadishu, or the days after from wounds that they received, during the battle. I've never seen it other than, we do our event and, we read the names out loud, and, Three Rangers does their event and reads the names out loud. But to actually see something with Operation Gothic Serpent, Task Force Ranger, I've not seen it. And to see that there was really, really emotional. Oh, there's one of the strays, huh?
We have 5 just built-in emotional support animals. This one I named Matilda last night. The girls have named it something different because she hung out with us all night. They all need a home. They're really sweet. But it's been so cute that they followed all the families out here, and there's 2 of them that talk the whole time, and it's brought joy to some people. It's just random here in the city park, but it's just one of those cute little additives of look how lovey. Like, been out here and just he's so cute.
But I mean, and then like the USS Cole, I don't know if there's anything for that. Operation Just Cause, the Panama stuff. I don't know, how many things are out there for that. But to see all of that in one location, the Beirut, the bombing, we look, Willis knows about it because they do their ceremony every year in Lejeune or Camp Johnson area. But to have all of that in one area for my generation and for those other generations, or even, there are guys that served from Panama through Mogadishu into Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and then even into Iraq, Afghanistan, depending on when they enlisted, right? So to have all of that there in one location for all the veterans of all those generations to see is truly amazing. And, I would encourage you to bring your kids, because that's history that's not being taught anymore. And that's history that you're not going to see. And, especially if there's veterans out there, don't be afraid to ask them, who they're there to honor, who they're there to see. And, you might hear a story about that person. And again, that keeps that person's name alive.
So I've taken my daughters down there. And, when I first heard about the wall and we first started talking about it, I told my daughters, I said, when it comes, I want y'all to go with me, because they didn't get to make the DC trip with us to see the wall in DC. And I was like, all right, well, when it comes here, you definitely are going to go see it. And, I took my daughters around and, I got to show them, some names on the wall. And I agree with you. I think if you're a parent, you should take your young children there. Even, well, I wouldn't say super young. I'd say, maybe 5 and older, maybe a little older than that. But that way
third or fourth grade, I'd say. I mean, because they get a better understanding. I mean, and then some kids are more advanced, so I don't want to put an age to it. But if you think your kid can understand what the meaning of the sacrifice is and to the names and what it truly means, by all means, bring your kids. I mean, bring your young kids too. They may not know what it means, but if you have pictures of what it is, you can show them when they get older. Even though this is going to make a 2-year rotation down there, but it's still something that you could do on an annual basis or biannual basis and watch your kids grow as this park and memorial grows and the event grows.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how much longer you guys are planning on doing here, but I still have some volunteer duties to do, and we're trying to clean some things up before it gets too dark. If you guys are okay, I'm gonna jump off here and let you guys finish up.
Thank you, Candice.
Absolutely. It's been an honor to be a part of this.
Yes, ma'am. See you later.
Bye, you guys. Great to meet you today.
Yeah, you as well.
Bye-bye.
That's it.
No, dude, I love the fact that, me and you've been friends for a really long time.
We're not going to say how long.
Yeah, we're not going to say how long, but a really long time. And and you came down today and hung out with me for a little while, got to see some names on the wall and talk with, people there, because I introduced you to JT Cooper from Warrior Rounds, and introduced you to Sergeant was Tong, I think is his last name. Tong was his name. Vietnam era Marine Corps veteran, and and just get to hang out with you for a little while, and it's just share that experience with you. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
It was amazing, and you know, it's just I don't know. I'm kind of lost for words because, like I said, it's one of those things that it's a very humbling experience to see, and then hearing everybody's stories and their why, because of like
Yeah.
my why is what keeps me up at night is missing that one veteran that slips through the crack. That's what keeps me up at night, and it is very taxing on you mentally.
Well, it is, and and it's not hard. I mean, even doing what you're doing here in podcasts and listening to people's life events, their stories, whatever you want to call it, it's not hard to get compassion fatigue over time, right?
Right.
And you have to take that break for yourself, whether you force it upon yourself or your body tells you, "Hey, I've had enough. It's time for a break." Or, my new commander in chief tells me that you need to take a break. So my wife steps in every now and then. But it's not hard to get compassion fatigue, especially when you do it a lot. And he's like, "Yeah, I could do this every day." I'm like, "Man, I can't. I couldn't.
Yeah,
I've been
I
a lot.
get where you're at.
I've been around and been a part of a lot of nonprofits that invite the Gold Star families or invite families of fallen law enforcement, and you get to know their stories, and then sometimes that Gold Star family sees something in you. And it might be a look, it might be the smile, it might be a little crooked grin that you do that reminds them of their loved one. And then they grab a hold of you and they're like, "You're my new son,"
Yeah.
and it's, and they have like 1,000 sons, right? But just that one thing reminds you of their loved one. And then they open up more about, what they used to love to do and how they do it. And, you develop connections with them. And the more and more that you do that, you step away from your own personal needs sometimes. And you have to do for you. You can't do for everybody all the time. And my wife gets mad at me because that's all I do. I do for everybody. I don't do for me. So once a year, I take a fishing trip for me. Once a year, we go on a cruise, a family cruise for the family. And then this year, I'm taking off to Hawaii for a week with me and the wife to celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary for us, right? So, I mean, you have to take those moments and those times for you. I mean, even work, you get stressed out at work, you get fatigued from work, you take a vacation, right?
Yeah.
So why not do it in your personal life? Take a vacation from some of the things that you're doing just to take time for you.
Yeah, and last year at the end of the year, I took 2 weeks off from doing the podcast. And like holidays, we don't do a podcast on a holiday because it's holiday, it's family time. So even though I've been doing this podcast for almost a year and a half to almost 2 years, well, year and a half pretty much, but you have to take those small mental breaks. I can't. That's why we do 4 episodes. 4 episodes a month or 4 episodes a week, and you got those breaks in between. But you are right, because if I don't see, I don't agree with James saying, "Oh, I could do it every day," because it will wear you out. I mean, it literally will wear you out. Yes, doing a podcast helps me minimize my PTS, but it doesn't eliminate it. But I think adding more and adding more and adding more would just add more stress to you, and then that'll allow the demons to come in. So you gotta pace yourself. And I know, like you stay busy with Team Fast Track. So let's talk about Team Fast Track a little bit. A good segment, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Team Fast Tracks is the largest commercial skydive team in the world. Right now, I think there's probably 35 or 40 members of us. Of that, I would say 20 to 25 are performers or skydivers. There's another 8 to 10, maybe even more now, because we just had our selection, probably 12, 15 ground safety specialists, is what I do. So I coordinate with the person on site to make sure our site is safe, make sure it's large enough for the jumpers to come into, make sure the crowd's a certain distance away from FAA standards that we have to follow, U.S. Parachute Association standards that we have to follow. And then I give the wind conditions on the ground and the time hacks to the plane, which gives it to the jumpers to make sure that they get out of the plane on time. But most of the time we're performing, the team is performing with large American flags, anything from 1,100 square foot American flag all the way up to an 8,000 square foot American flag. And each flag is jumped by one jumper. And then we do have some specialty flags too, like which side of me? Like the honor member flag. We have an 1,100 square foot honor member flag. And on our flag right now, we probably have 500-600 signatures from Gold Star families of their loved one. So it has their loved one's name, rank, date of death, branch of service. And if they decide they want to write a little note, they can write a little note. We have an 1,100 square foot Purple Heart flag. And then we have a ton of other, specialty flags for different, stadiums that we jump into, like Wake Forest and some of those other ones. And then we do, day pyro show, night pyro show. I mean, we're busy. We'll probably do 180 shows this year. And then each show, some shows like Albuquerque has 10 different jumps on it. So, I mean, we're busy. But it's fun. That is what helped me get my new identity, right? My post-service identity, my new mission, my new purpose. And then through the team, we have a nonprofit. Matter of fact, in 2 weeks, we have probably 40 something first-time guests coming in to do some skydiving, some gun shooting, some airplane rides, and then a whole weekend of family building, camaraderie, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's August 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th up in Miamisburg. And I think on the 10th, if you're in the Miamisburg, Franklin area, there's a huge Jeep parade that all these new honorees that are coming in. We probably had 60 something Jeeps last year, and it's probably going to be the same this year, and or patriotic style vehicles that, we get led around town by the police, and we come back. And then as soon as we're back and all the engines are off, the team jumps out with like 8 to 10 jumpers on it. And they're all landing with American flags and the Purple Heart flag and the Thin Blue Line flag and the honor member flag all over the place at this big field that we jump into. It's amazing. I still get to travel. I probably travel more now with the team than I did when I was on active duty, but it's in smaller spurts, right? So it's maybe a Friday, Saturday, and then I'm home. Or we had a golf outing I think it was on Thursday. So I flew up in the plane to where we jumped out at, and then once the jump was over with, I got back in the plane and flew back to our airport and got in the truck and drove home. Or we're flying commercial somewhere, but it's in every single jump, and it doesn't matter where we're at. Every single jump is dedicated to a fallen service member or a fallen first responder. And, the guys, we try to find somebody that's from that area. And if we can't find somebody from the area, we try to find somebody that was killed on that specific day. And we print off their picture, and we put off just a little bio of, who they were, who they served with. And then we talk about, they, were killed, due to wounds received during conflict in Iraq, and then so the guys and girls take a picture of that, take a photo of that, them holding the picture. They fold it up, and then one of our pockets is right on our inside by our heart, and they zip it up. And then they perform, and they get on the ground, and then they take an after photo. Sometimes it's with the crowd in the back, if it's a football game or a soccer game or a baseball game. And sometimes it's just it's you in front of the sign where you just performed at, because they're out playing golf, right? And you can't get a big crowd together because they've got certain times they have to hit to make it back to do their gala or fundraiser thing. But they take an after photo with that same exact photo, and we try to give it to somebody and tell them who the person was and to keep their name alive. And then and our hope is that when we post this to our social media, a family member sees that, and then they understand that their loved one's not being forgotten, that somebody out there is remembering who their loved one was. And, when I used to do their social media, and we used to get a lot of emails or messages saying, that's my loved one. Thank you for what you do. Is there any way, I can sign that flag? How can I sign that flag? And, if we're going to be in their area, I'll let them know I can bring the flag with me. We can open it up. You can sign it, and we'll fold it back up. or we'll bring them in for, Warrior Weekend and let them sign it. And then every time that honor and member flag flies, it's flying with their loved one's name on it. And the guy that started that, George Lutz, is a Gold Star dad. His son was killed in 2005, and he's on the name. George Lutz's name is on there too, because that's what his name was. And he's buried at Arlington. So every year when I go do Wreaths Across America in Arlington, I whether a wreath is on his grave or not, I stop and pay my respects. And even on that flag, he was one of the first signatures on the flag. So it's amazing what we do as a team, and it's more, it's not just about jumping. It's not just about, what venue can you jump into? It's about, honoring our community, honoring the team, and honoring our country, because we are jumping with large American flags.
I love it. No, I love it. I wish I could make it to the event up there this year, but I'm definitely going to have to make next year's for sure. And then we got David Hart coming on the first. I want to say it's the 1st of August. Let me make sure. I think it is the 1st of August.
Oh yeah, the week before our event.
Yep, David Hart.
Thursday.
Yep, Thursday, August 1st at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, he'll be coming on talking about a little bit more about what you guys do. And then you also are part of the Mogadishu Mile event that you put on in Kentucky every year. That's coming up in October. You got the exact date of that, right?
Yes. So go back to David Hart real quick. David Hart is one of the founders of the skydive team. And then our nonprofit is Blue Skies for the Good Guys and Gals Warrior Foundation. And David heads that up. Great group of volunteers that he has that, plans and coordinates and, does everything that they need to do to raise the funds to get these guys and girls to come in and the families to come in at no charge to them. So, yeah, you're going to have a great time with Dave. He's got a lot of energy. So great dude. I love him like a brother. And, I don't stay in contact with him as much as I'd like to, just because I'm busy with the team and the family. But, every time we see each other, it's a big old friggin' bear hug and how you been, how you're doing. So now I'm looking forward to Warrior Weekend this year. I got invited back to be an ambassador to help one of the new guys come through and let him know what to expect. And if he has any questions, it's just a one-on-one with him and I.
That's awesome.
So it's not just a bunch of people giving him a bunch of information. It's me giving him the information that he needs to make himself feel comfortable through the transition of the weekend. So, it's a good time. And then, so the Mogadishu Mile, we partnered with Three Rangers Foundation, and we do the only team Mogadishu Mile. Every other Mogadishu Mile out there is individual effort. They have somewhat of a plan of how to run the Mogadishu Mile. So ours is Mogadishu Mile Kentucky. We don't have a website, but we do have Facebook as Mogadishu Mile Kentucky. This year, the event is October 5th. The Battle of Mogadishu happened, October 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, that time frame. But the main battle was the 3rd. So we try to do it around the anniversary date of the Battle of Mogadishu. And, it's 4-person teams, just like a fire team is. And, you're only as fast as your slowest person. You're only as strong as your weakest person. So the first 5 stations for our event, it's a half-mile jog run, but you have 5.56 ammo cans filled with sand, and you're running to that first station, and it might be 100 push-ups. So as a team, you have to do 100 push-ups, but only one person can be doing the push-ups at a time. So it's not like all 4 of you jump down, 25 push-ups and go. If I can knock out 100 push-ups quicker than we can during the transition, I get down and do all 100, and we pick up the ammo cans and move to the next one, which might be, a box jump, a ball slam, more push-ups, squat jumps, something. So that's the first 5 stations. And then you put your ammo cans down, and you pick up a 30-pound ruck, and you run a 1-mile loop around the lake at Queens Lake. But there are 19 different poster boards that represent the 19 guys that were killed during the Battle of Mogadishu, or the days that followed as the result of their injuries. And one person from every team needs to stop read the rank, the name, and where they were from before they can move on to the next station. Now, if you're the rabbit and you can just go and, do Gary Gordon, Lincoln, Maine, right? Mass Sergeant Gary Gordon, Lincoln, Maine, and your team's way back still, and you can get to that next one, and all your guys got to do is say, hey, we're team 4. All right, team 4 already came through, and they can just bypass that because one person from that group already said the name. So if you're the rabbit, you can do all stations once you pick up the ruck, but you have to wait for your team to finish.
Yep.
So you have to start. You start as a team, you finish as a team, and we've had great success. It's grown every single year. John, the owner of Queens Lake, has been very gracious to let us use his property, and he mows part of his property to make this route happen, the course happen. Great group of volunteers again for that. I'm honored that I was asked to be the co-director of the event, and I get to see it grow as well. And I have a personal connection to the Battle of Mogadishu just because I grew up 13 miles south of where Gary Gordon was from, where he lived. So when the Battle of Mogadishu happened and Gary was killed in the procession home, that was on the news up home. So I remember that. And then the year later when his widow was presented the Congressional Medal of Honor, I remember that. And then just recently they erected a statue of Gary in his hometown. And his mom was like, yeah, we can do it, but we're not doing it unless it has the name of all 19 guys. So it has the name of all the 19 guys that were killed during the Battle of Mogadishu, from 10th Mountain, from the 160th, from the Rangers, and from the SF unit. So, I mean, it's something to see. And then his gravesite is across the road into the cemetery over there. And, we did coins the past couple of years. I don't think I have one. I think it's in my other case. But we had a couple left over, and I looked at our executive director. I'm like, how can we let the families know that we're doing this? How can we let the families know that we're honoring their loved ones, that sacrifice isn't forgotten? So we sat down and we researched where all these guys are buried or where they're interned at. And our goal now is to leave one of our Mogadishu Mile Kentucky coins at everybody's marker to where they're buried. And as of right now, I think we've laid 3. There's a guy over in Western Kentucky who's buried there. And then Gary Gordon and Tommy Fields are both buried in Maine. And when I went home this year, I put a coin on each of theirs. And coming up, I'm taking off to Jersey here in September. And there's 2 guys that are out that way, and I'm going to stop and leave it there on their grave sites. And then there's 3 buried at Arlington that the director of the Kentucky Mogadishu Mile is going to be out there at the first part of next month, I think. Okay. And he's going to leave a coin at each one of their sites. So it's again, it's a fitness event, but it's more than that. It's about remembering those guys that made the ultimate sacrifice, right? And then this whole thing that we've been talking about, the sacrifice that have been made for this country, for us to live free and have the freedoms that we have. And, that's what our event is about, is to remember the guys that made that sacrifice, because, it's been 30 years since that event happened, and people aren't talking about it anymore. Right. The 2 guys that you introduced me today, I'm like, hey, what's up with the Mogadishu Mile thing? Who was there? And they're like, oh, we both were in Mogadishu. I'm like, oh my Lord. I mean, to have 2 guys, at the same site that were there during the battle, you know, and understand what that sacrifice is, and understand that there's not a lot for the guys that were there. Yeah. There's not. So, and that goes back to, Desert Storm, Desert Shield too. There weren't as many as killed during that, but as there was the most recent wars, but there's still sacrifice, and nobody talks about it. It's no less of a sacrifice than it was during World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, or now. And I don't know why we don't talk about it.
Yeah, it's weird that we don't talk about it, and we don't honor the ones that pay the ultimate sacrifice in these newer generational war, and everybody focuses on World War One, World War Two, and Vietnam. They don't focus on Korea. They don't focus on Somalia or any of the they don't, and I don't understand why. Like Beirut, they don't even really focus on Beirut that often, and it baffles me that there's not more, it's not out there more in the forefront. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's like with this Cost of Freedom tribute that's with the traveling wall. I mean, it's amazing that's out there. Like you said, you didn't even know that there was something like this out there.
Yeah.
And when they told me about it, I was like, oh man, this is going to be, which I already knew the wall was going to be very humbling, but to see the Cost of Freedom tribute with, brothers and sisters that we served with the 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines, 1st Battalion, 8th Marines, 3/8. It's just it will catch you off guard.
Yeah.
And I love it, and I wish I had $100 million out there so I can go create a veterans memorial that is for everybody. I wish I could do it. I mean, I would do it in a heartbeat. Just have a memorial that has everybody from way back when to now. Just because it needs to be done. It needs to be. They need to be honored. Their names need to be said. And what I was thinking, if I did a veterans memorial like that, have a recording that would say their name and their rank.
Man, I tell you, that's so moving. I don't know if you've been to New York to Ground Zero, but there's a couple rooms that they have the recordings of people reading their name, and I think it might have been for the 8th or their 10th anniversary of September 11th, and they had family members or people come up and read the names. The recording of that is playing in one of the rooms, and when that name is being read, so if Lawrence Virgilio is being read, a photo of him comes up, and then it fades off, and the next name is read, and that photo comes up. And man, I tell you, I couldn't go in that room for a long time. I was on active duty when that happened. I'm not a product of September 11th. I'm pre-September 11th. Now my injuries are a product of that. Everything that happened to me from that date forward is a product of that. But to hear those names, I couldn't go in that room. It's and it's on the site. And I think that's another thing that really gets me is that it's truly on the site of the basement of the building.
Yeah, and you're probably right. It'd probably be one of those things, and having the pictures that go along with the names. I honestly, I think that would be, that'd probably be pretty hard. But I'd love to have a veterans memorial that has every name on it, and every everything that I could do with it, and then have a screen maybe in the center that says the name, and it shows a picture of them as well. I think I think cool. that would be pretty cool. I mean, I know they're doing a lot of memorials. Like I think Texas has got a nice memorial that they're working on out there, and you can even put like a library into the bottom of it, talking about each conflict or each war that America's been into, and that way history's never lost,
right?
Because like I said, if you don't speak their name, then they're going to be forgotten. That's why we always have to remember, and that's why we always have to speak their name. That way they're never forgotten. And there's a lot of great organizations like your organization that honors these guys. And it's just, that's just what we need to do. And then like this Vietnam traveling wall with the Cost of Freedom tribute, it's amazing because we went in and talked with the mayor of Shepherdsville, and his dad was in Vietnam twice. And we went in and we were talking to him about this. 3 minutes into the conversation, he goes, I don't care what the cost is. Let's do it. I mean, that's how quick he jumped on. 3 minutes. And he's like, dude, don't say less. Let's do it. Let's get it
Yeah,
here.
and for a public figure to do that, that quick without being like, well, public perspective, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Public perspective. We have the rights and the freedoms we have today because of those men and women that are listed on, the walls and the memorials and the tributes, and there shouldn't be any pushback on that.
Yeah, no, and here's another thing his ideal. This was something he came up with. We were talking about celebrating the life of the Vietnam era vets. They've never got the parade, the ticker tape.
Nope.
He has now said that next year we're going to have on Vietnam Veteran Day. He's going to do a full scale parade for Vietnam vets. He's going to put them on floats. He's going to take them around the whole city of Shepherdsville. I'm like, that right there is amazing.
There used to be like a welcome home Vietnam veterans event, pre-COVID, and then it just kind of fizzled out. And I get it; everything's money run, everything's volunteer run, and people and money is what make these events happen. And if you don't have either, it's hard to make an event happen.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, for our event, we've got like the Jeep Club just puts out in their mass email, hey, we need Jeeps for this. And we have to turn Jeeps away because we don't have enough people to put in there. And they're like, oh no, we just want to drive in it anyway. We don't care if we have somebody in our Jeep. They just want to participate. They want to show and so for our event, it's not just post 9/11. We've had World War II. We've had Korea, we've had Vietnam, we've had, all the way up to current conflict. And, they just want to honor these guys and girls that are coming in that just for a simple thank you. That's all they want to do. They just want their simple thank you is to let me give you a ride in my Jeep that I spent, $80,000 on, spent another $80,000 on accessories.
Right.
That's all they want. They want somebody in their seat, or they just want to be there and be like, I went out and, did my part today. But it's truly amazing to see the amount of people that show up. And then the Veteran Motorcycle Club that shows up from Ohio too. They roll deep. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. And the guys that run that organization up here in Ohio they're top notch. I can't say anything negative. Matter of fact, they do a thing up here called Vet Fest. At the Renaissance place up in Ohio. And we're jumping into that, I don't know, next month, I think. And so I'll be there for that. I got tagged for that one. Nice. And it's a great deal, man. They bring in a bunch of different veteran organizations and veteran vendors and, help raise money for whatever charity they want to raise money for.
Oh, heck yeah.
It's a good deal.
And it's like with this escort for this wall, it was on the 24th. Started in Mount Washington, came all the way down 44 to the Shepherdsville Park. And we had, I think, 2 different Jeep clubs there. We had 2 different veteran MCs, motorcycle clubs. And we had to turn, when we first initially started doing this escort, it was 400 cars, 400 vehicles deep.
Man.
But Kentucky Department of Transportation came in and said, oh, you can't do that many. So we had to scale it back. And then, the mayor's like, this is our town. This is our county. We do what we want to do. And we had some state troopers said that, hey, we can shut down the road. We'll shut it down. And then DOT kicked back up. So we had to break it up into two different
groups. Yeah.
And do it that way. We had the first group go, and then the second group, it was escorting the trailer with the wall and everything. And but we still had roughly about 200 vehicles total, and both 100 in each group.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty amazing sight to see. So it's just very humbling, and you always got to say, you got to always remember their name and speak their name.
For sure.
We never forget. So
yeah, and I had a Gold Star dad, and it's Taylor Brzezinski's dad. He's like, people die twice in this lifetime. The first time is when they take their last breath, and the second time is when their name's spoken for the last time. Man, he said that it's been probably 11 years ago. Well, I think I met him in 2013 is him and I did a speaking engagement together, and I've never forgot that since.
Yeah,
and especially coming from the Gold Star dad, dude, that hit you hard. And a Gold Star dad that I served with his son and knew his son, and it hit me even harder, you know. And it's like,
yeah, it does. It does hit you. I mean, and people don't even realize, you know. Yeah, you might sit back and you think about somebody that you served with, and you just kind of wonder who else is speaking their name, and you just gotta keep honoring their memory by saying their name to people. And that's like this Vietnam traveling wall. I wish there was something that we could do, you know, to have all those names on a screen or something of that nature. So, but brother, man, it's been one of those long ass days for me.
Absolutely. I get it.
So I got to jump off here, take care of the wife and kids upstairs.
Yep.
But thank you for coming on here, hanging out with me, brother. We will talk soon. So have a good night, my friend.
Yeah, man. You too.
All right, brother. Later.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Man, I tell you what. So Michael Snellen says, guys, we had 76 bikes and 26 Jeeps, the wall and warrior rounds, and the police. Nice. I knew it was quite a bit. I wasn't for sure. I thought we had more than that. But anyway, it's been a long, humbling last few days, last 4 days, 5 days here. And Wall's going to be here until Tuesday morning. So if you haven't been there, you need to get up there and see it. It's open 24 hours. A lot of great volunteers. I want to give a shout out to Smoke Over Fire here in Mount Washington. They had free food for everybody today. They had free food the other day, and everybody else that came in and volunteered, whether it be food or whatever, they're just donating their time. It's very humbling. You need to go up there and see the wall, the Cost for Freedom tribute as well. The Scouts of America, they've done amazing up there. They're learning, they're knowing, taking people to see the wall, where the names are that they're looking for and stuff like that. It's just, God, it's been very amazing to see. Candice, thank you for everything that you have done. James Thornton, thank you for everything you've done. Ratman, thank you for everything you've done. And all the other volunteers, Chrissy Mobley with, her DJ services and stuff like that. And all the speakers out there, you guys were amazing. But anyway, like we say always here at Homefront Sit Rep, stay safe out there, and we got your six. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find Homefront Sit Rep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your six.